that field today? Ask yourself this question.
What time is it? Game time! What time is it? Game time! What time is it? Game time! What time is it? Let's go! We made it! We made it! We made it! We made it! And let's go to the house! And let's go to the house!
When I step on the field, I send one message. And this is what it feels like. This is what it feels like.
Football is getting hit. That's it.
It's gonna be football now! What time is it? Game time! What time is it? Game time! What time is it? Game time! What time is it? Let's hunt now! Let's hunt now! Let's go! Let's hunt! We made it! And let's go to the house! And let's go to the house!
We're talking about the Jets like we're talking about the Saints. You know, all this, how like we the Miami Heat of football. Yeah. The bottom line is you got to buckle up your chin strap.
It's embarrassing.
Yeah.
Don't disrespect the game like that. There's too much crying from them.
He's a man. They can be hit just like us. He's a man.
You already make the big money.
He's a man.
Don't cry when you step on the field, man. That's war out there.
When I step on the field, I send one message. And this is what it feels like.
Oh, my bad. Your bad don't work in my world.
What time is it? Game time! What time is it? Game time! What time is it? Game time! What time is it? Let's go! Let's go! Let's go! We made it! And let's go to the house! And let's go to the house! It's a wrap. Game over.
Man, I got to always come on to my hype stuff, and nobody gives it to me better than Ray Lewis. So, again, it is the lunch break powered by JM&E, streaming live on Roku TV, courtesy of BS3. If you don't have a Roku streaming device, you need to get one so you can download BS3 TV. And when you do, you can be saying, AJ was right. Yeah, man, we all in it. Winning Wednesday right here on the lunch break. And I got to say congratulations to Mr. Clarence. Mr. Clarence was this week's winner of the Lunch Break Weekly Keeping Up with the Joneses Pick'em Challenge. That's everybody trying to keep up with the Joneses. We got a Pick'em Challenge. You don't have to have an entry fee. You don't have to go by point spreads. You don't have to use all that other stuff. You just got to pick the more right than wrong, and you can win $50 each and every week. At the end of the season, if you're in the top 6, you'll compete for $500 cash. And this week, it was Mr. Clarence with 12 wins. In fact, I don't have the graphic, but let me talk about the winners real quick. Let me talk about the winners, and we will tell you also what the standings are right now. So this past week, let me make sure I got the right one up. Weekly winners. Again, Clarence had 12 wins. He was tied with Miss Pearl, came down to the tiebreaker. He was closer to the final score than anybody else. So again, congratulations to Mr. Clarence, 12 wins, Miss Betty, 10 wins. The 11-win crew was Emmanuel, Amber, Johnny Cole, and Al High from the Casual Highlight podcast. Al High had 11 wins as well, had several 10-win folks, 9-win folks, and 8-win folks. This was a better week for most. And if we look at the current standings, right now, number 1 is Chi-Town with 46 wins. He just edges Big Time Floyd out, who also has 46 because of the tiebreaker. So again, number 1, Chi-Town. Number 2 is Big Time Floyd. Number 3, my frat brother Delano with 45 wins. He's tied with Al High, who also has 45 wins. At number 5, Erica with a K. She's got 44 wins. And at number 6, Big Mike with 43. He's tied with Emmanuel and Miss Pearl. Again, if it stopped today and we competed for the $500, it would be Chi-Town, Big Time Floyd, Delano, Al High, Erica with a K, and Big Mike. Just on the outside looking in, again, Emmanuel, Miss Pearl, Keith, Todd, King Doc, Amber, Keisha Kelly and Milo, they are all just on the outside looking in. So that's what we've got in the current standings on the Lunch Break Weekly, keeping up with the Joneses Pick'em Challenge. All right, man, Major League Baseball came in with a bang last night, especially if you're an Astros fan, man. In fact, I got called out. Somebody said, some of y'all pretending to be media, but your fandom is showing. I had to confess, I'm guilty. Last night, I was more fan than media because I'm a huge fan of one Dusty Baker. I love Dusty. And Dusty gets a lot of crap here in Houston for no reason at all. All he did was come in and save the day for the Astros organization that got led down the wrong path by Mr. Lunau. Look, you can say what you want to say about him, but Lunau led this organization down the wrong path. Yeah, they won a championship, but they won it by cheating, and I'm not here to argue or debate if everybody cheats and is everybody stealing signs and all that. I'm not here to argue and debate it. The fact remains the Astros got caught doing it, and it had to fall on the general manager and the team manager. So Jeff Lunau out, AJ Hinch out, in comes Dusty Baker and James Click, and now they are repeatedly one of the top teams in Major League Baseball. And yesterday, man, was absolutely amazing. I got a special guest that's going to be coming on today, none other than Trailblazer and first woman Black broadcast journalist, sports journalist in the city of Houston, none other than Kim Y. Davis. She'll be coming on, and I want to talk about it with her when she comes on. But, man, what a game, what a game, what a game. So, again, excuse my fandom. I got excited. I wasn't in the press box, so I didn't get kicked out of the press box for cheering, but I got it in where I was watching the game and with some fans. I got it in. So there you go. Man, Atlanta. As Carl Lewis said when he messed up on the national anthem. They dropped their opening NLDS game against the Philadelphia Phillies. Interesting. And then all the other usual suspects were able to win. The Dodgers pulled out a win. The Yankees pulled out a win. So there we go. So anyway, Keith Hennig says he's off to a slow start this year, but hang on. I believe you, Keith. I believe you. Listen, if you want to play in this week's Lunch Break Weekly, Keeping Up with the Joneses Pick'em Challenge, like Keith Hennig, all you have to do is get your picks into me by tomorrow, 6 o'clock p.m. Central. By tomorrow, 6 o'clock p.m. Central. And let me tell you what you got to do. All right, here's what you got to do. This is week 6. So tomorrow night's game will be Washington at the Bears. Who do you think's going to win? Give me the winner for that game. Give me all of the Sunday games. And then for the Monday night game, it'll be the Denver Broncos at the LA Chargers. I need the exact final score for both teams. That's what determines the tiebreaker. And right now, the tiebreakers are separating, people into the top 6. It helped Clarence win $50 this past week. So make sure you give me the exact final score for both teams, not the total. The exact final score for both teams gives us multiple tiebreakers. And if you've been following this contest with the lunch break for the last 5 years, you know that there have been times where we've had 5-way and 6-way tiebreakers, and we needed multiple things to be able to separate who won and who did not. So make sure you do that. Then you get your picks in to me. Text them 832-403-5005. That's 832-403-5005. I've got some great interns, Destiny and Ebony, that are monitoring that phone. So when you get your picks in, if there's nothing else that they need, if you got everything right, you'll get a message back that says, got them. Make sure you pick all of the games. Don't leave games out because we can't give you credit for games you don't pick. And if you don't want to text them, you can email them. AJ@JonesMediaandENT.com. AJ@JonesMediaandENT.com. Again, by tomorrow, 6 o'clock p.m. Central, You'll get a message back from either Destiny or Ebony that says, got him, and you are all set to go. All right? Hey, if you haven't played up to now, don't worry. Jump on in. You can keep winning $50 each week all the way through week 18. And man, that can add up to a lot of money. Big Time Floyd won it last week. Clarence won it this week. The first winner of week 1 was Erica with a K. So listen, you want to get in on it. All right, let me take a break. We'll be right back right after this on Winning Wednesday right here on the lunch break, powered by JM&E, streaming live on Roku, courtesy of BS3 TV. We'll be right back.
Of course, Steph Curry, Tim Anderson, Jordan Alvarez.
And it's caught! Debo Samuel with the catch.
Michael Jordan can sense
The Fro just got the king.
BS3 Network.
The hottest of hot takes. The coldest of cold, hard facts. This is Snowman in the Morning with Cole Johnson. Weekdays at 8 a.m. Eastern. Check your local listings for your viewing and listening pleasure.
When the man said that Sharifa Barksdale is on the verge, she's getting ready to set the world record. And I lost concentration and I followed that hurdle. I was devastated.
One of our hopes for the Olympic Games, Sharifa Barksdale from Tennessee, a fine intermediate hurdler, ranked 10th in the world at 400 meters.
Posición game ball de Canadá, dominando la prueba y la estadounidense Sharifa Barksdale está en.
When I fell over that hurdle, it ended my career. And then all of a sudden, my coach grabs me by the throat. And I was going through some paperwork and seeing that he had spent 10 years in prison. And I was just like floored. It turned to domestic violence. I was terrified. So if I left, I don't know if I was going to die. My family didn't know if they was going to get a phone call to say that Sharifa was dead.
8910 radio, I said a vehicle took a shot at me. Southbound on East 95th.
Broke the U.S. record in the 400-meter hurdles. Represented the United States of America.
Imagine being on the biggest, fastest roller coaster that you have ever been on. That's the way my life was for 20 years.
I never had no trouble out of her being what she wanted to be. Because if this is what she wanted to be a runner, well, God bless her, and he did.
I tell you what, that one's going to be coming to screens and streams near you real soon. And JM&E is very, very blessed to be a part of that production. So, Kim Davis, Chalk Talk, what's going on, sis?
Hey, how are you? Good afternoon.
I'm lit. I ain't gonna lie, I'm lit. I got called out for being a fan and not a media broadcast journalist yesterday, and I had to confess, I'm a fan right now. Them Astros, man. Them Astros. They made me love them. They made me hate them. They made me cry. And then we worked it out. Bottom of the night.
Aren't those just the best relationships, right? When you can just work it out.
Look, I wish they wouldn't take me through all of this right here. Just do me like that. That's what they did at the bottom of the night. You were there, Kim. You were there in the press box. We're not allowed to cheer in the press box. Was there some cheering in the press box last night?
No, no, there wasn't. But I was also down in the media room for the 9th inning because I'd go down to try to get a spot. Even, I hadn't decided the game was over. I just wanted to be able to have a spot so I could, for post-game interviews.
Yep.
So I'm looking at I don't know if you can see this, I look at I keep score, right?
Yep.
And so I'm trying the game and I'm looking at this and I'm like, okay, the first batter, Verlander walks him. That's like, I'm like, wow, okay, he'll settle down. Then I'm like, okay, he hasn't pitched in postseason since 2019. He's going to settle down. And then he gives up, a single and then another single. And I'm like, okay, and a run in the first inning. Okay. Then in the second inning, It's worse. He gives up 2 runs in the second innings, 1, 2, 3, 4 hits. I was like, what is happening? So now they're down 4-0 after 2 innings.
Yep.
This is not the Justin Verlander that we have been seeing all year. And I look back and I said, wow, he struggled in his last few starts in postseason. He's like 14-11 in postseason. So, okay, maybe is it a mental thing? Is he rusty? But he still is Verlander. And so there's some that say, he's just never done anything in postseason. Well, if you go back to 2017 in the ALCS, was it game 5 maybe? He's done a little something. So I wasn't ready to throw in a towel yet. But, I do think it's something to say that they were a little rusty. They were flat, whatever. And his pitches just were missing a little bit, right?
Yeah.
They just were missing a little. It wasn't like he was terribly off, but you kind of got to know baseball a little bit to know that. So I was like, whatever happens, he'll be ready for his second start. And with this ball club, it's never really over.
Right. That part.
And so when they got back in it and Bregman hit the 2-run homer and they got to 7-5, I was like, okay, all right. So now I win the 9th and I'm in the media room. I will tell you, the media room, the press room downstairs did kind of erupt. They're mostly photographers. But there were people that were like, I mean, it was a baseball moment, right? Even people who necessarily weren't Astros fans. And when Jordan walked up to the plate, I said, a walk-off would be good here. And, what happened before the walk-off was pretty spectacular. Hensley, who just joined the club in September, just getting his first postseason at bat. Pena, who had struggled throughout the day, chasing a little bit, right? He gets on base, 2 outs, and 2 strikes, and he gets a base hit, and now it's Jordan. And, people wanted to question the manager about, making the change at pitcher, and they asked Dusty about it afterwards, and Dusty's like, listen, I'm never going to question another manager, right? I manage my team, and if it works, he's genius. He said, if it doesn't, now you're questioning. He goes, and I've been in that same spot.
Yeah.
So you got to make the call you think is right for your team. But he was like, I can talk about, this side. So it was pretty amazing. It's so funny. I'm watching. There's some people, media folks that I do follow, and there was some like, oh man, if they lose this game, the series over. I never thought that. I never thought that. I thought they were flat. Dusty said last week, he said again on Monday, I don't know what the layoff is going to do to this club. I'll tell you after the game what it did. I don't know how it is, but he said baseball is a game where you have to have live action. Practice is not enough. So the 5 days, they were kind of flat, but they won it. And tomorrow, Framber Valdez gets the start, and they'll be back at it again. But they also know, this team also knows it's not over. They're not counting the Mariners out. But I had one baseball guy say this to me. He said, the Mariners don't know who they are. He said they're all over the place because they haven't been here. And there's something to be said for knowing what it means to be here. Experience matters.
Yeah.
And the Astros have that. The Mariners are still kind of figuring it out. And so, go Astros, huh?
man, I tell you. Kim White Davis joining us here. She's the host of Chalk Talk. She's a legendary, and I don't mean old legendary, but she's a legendary broadcast journalist in our area.
Kind.
And I'm just glad to have her because I was texting with Kim throughout the game while she was working. I'm texting, and I made the statement that they needed to pull Justin Verlander out. And she said, no. And then Justin did something else. And it was, well, maybe.
I mean, there were people that were like after the first inning saying you pull him out, or the second inning. So you got to give your ace, the person who's probably going to be the Cy Young Award winner, you got to give him a minute, right? Because you got to know that he's earned that. And you just got to see. And this is what makes Dusty so great. Bregman said it after the game. He said, Dusty managed this game perfectly from the start to the finish. So you got to say, okay, the first inning, it was rocky for him. The second inning, it was for sure rocky. In the third inning, he gets 2 ground balls and a pop out to shortstop, right? So it's 3 up, 3 down. So you're like, okay, he settled down. And then in the 4th inning, he gives up a home run. He gives up 2 runs in the 4th inning, and then and I think Justin even knew. So I think the relationship and respect between manager and ace Cy Young Award winner, when it's today just isn't it.
Yeah.
But I think I don't have a problem with Dusty letting him go through 4, especially the way he looked in 3.
Right.
But now after 4, I got to go and do something different. And so he did that, which is why he's been giving some of the guys in the bullpen some time early, because you don't know when you're going to need who. So yeah, let's give a few different guys a shot. Let's bring in Hunter Brown and get him some work, because you might need him later.
Right.
Those are the things that make Dusty so great. But and there are people who said, you should have thought of McCullers in this game. Whatever Dusty decides, I'm going with it, right? So Framber it is. And Framber is like, he's probably 3rd in the ranking for Cy Young in the American League, right? There's a he could even be 2nd. But start him tomorrow. I think he'll be fine. Stop talking about what he did last year, because he's not the same pitcher he was last year, right? He's got more experience. He learned from postseason last year. He's worked through this year, and he's ready for it. So I think he'll be fine. I'm looking forward to game 2 tomorrow.
Kim Y. Davis, I mean, again, you are stating what I've been saying for a while. Dusty Baker is that dude. You might not like the way he does it, but he knows what he's doing. He has forgotten more about baseball than many will ever know. And the guy just wins wherever he goes. Has he won a chip yet? No, but that doesn't mean the man can't manage. And all he did was come in and save the day for this organization. I mean,
gave him credibility.
Yeah, I mean, really, baseball as we know it could look totally different if they had brought in the wrong person who continued to do the wrong things, and that didn't happen. I got to give the owner credit for what he did by bringing in Dusty Baker and bringing in James Click, because this is
James Click is okay. I mean, I don't know that
here's why I say that, and hear me out, because I know you know more than I do. I feel like he hasn't tried to do too much. I feel like he has not tried to put his stamp on this team. You got a good thing going. You don't need to mess it up. So by him doing less, it's actually done more, in my opinion. Go ahead.
Yeah. So we'll see. I mean, I just feel like I'm kind of like, I don't feel great about Click. I don't feel like, oh my gosh, he's awful. I feel like he walked in, they had some talent. He hasn't really made any moves that make you go, okay, I see why you had to get somebody, right? But I see why he's the guy. I don't have any strong feeling one way or the other. I mean, there are some who will say, yeah, we'll see how this Trey Mancini thing works out. Was it good or was it not? We don't really know yet about the couple of moves that he made. None that were necessarily spectacular. But I'm not down on him. But what the conversations I have had with people are, I'm not putting Click and Dusty in the same boat. Okay, Jim Crane should have offered Dusty a contract by now. I get him waiting on Click. If you're going to wait on somebody, there's no reason. If Dusty wants to be here, Dusty said it during the season, you should have gone ahead and said, okay, Dusty, what you want to do? But I get it. That tells you a lot about Jim Crane. Yeah. And that's why we don't see Jim Crane. Like this postseason, usually we see him walking around before the game on the field. He's in the media. I haven't seen Jim Crane, and I know he's there, but I haven't seen him in a couple months maybe. And maybe a game I wasn't there, one of the ones I didn't cover, he was walking around talking to media. I don't get that impression. Yeah. But and then there's still people in this town who are still talking about, like today, they had media availability. Dusty was asked about Joe Espada, who's got interviews with the Marlins and the White Sox today. He was very complimentary about Espada and what he knows and how he's been taught by great people. And Dusty said, excluding me, he's had some great people before that he's had a chance to learn from. He said, and people always say you're not ready. They said, I wasn't ready. Of course he's ready. You know what the comments were? Yeah, he just want him gone to keep his job. Y'all miss me with that, right? Dusty wasn't looking for work. They weren't looking for Dusty. And yes, he likes it. He wants to stay, but he's good. He's still going to be a Hall of Famer. Yep. I hope he gets the chip this year. Chip or not, he's one of the best to ever do it. And I'm just amazed at these people. I don't know why I'm amazed, but I still am. Yeah. And, Dusty don't care. I care way more than Dusty does.
And that's what I love about it. Dusty say, folks don't come to me with a whole lot of negativity because, I'm just a different cat. I love that.
Right,
I love that.
Right.
All right, we got to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to flip the script over to your Houston Texans. We'll do that when we come back with broadcast journalist, legend, trailblazer, my friend, Kim Davis, Chalk Talk Sports. We'll be back with her right after this on the lunch break.
That's why we here on this platform.
Marriage, a loving splendor, a daily grind. Such is the case when Damien and Jamie get together and chop it up, for marriage is real.
Let's just lay it all out here. Let's just be real with it.
Join this wonderful couple who keeps it real and always in love. BS3 Network proudly presents Marriage is Real, where love is the only thing that matters. Live every Tuesday at 8:30 Central. Oh, and Jamie has something to say.
Deuces and trays.
Let me tell you something, man. BS3 is flipping the script on the whole TV game. I love it. You got a Roku streaming device, just download BS3 TV. You're going to get some great content, great shows like Marriage is Real, Queen 3 and King. They had another great show last night. I was on The Forecast, which is a movie review show with four brothers, and it ain't Siskel and Ebert at all. So you got to check it all out on BS3 TV. Download it from your Roku streaming device. You'll be glad you did. Back on the
They
lunch.
also have the lunch break, right?
Yeah, the lunch break is squeezed up in there. We in there.
Yeah,
We in there.
yeah.
Glad to be a part of the family. Yes, ma'am. So we're back on our Winning Wednesday. I got my dear friend Kim Davis joining us. She's the founder, creator, and the host of Chalk Talk. And that's a great show, too. Kim, Tuesdays at
11, Tuesdays at 11. Yesterday I had Daryl Green on, Hall of Famer Daryl Green, who is doing some work with Dr. Baxter Montgomery over at the Montgomery Wellness Center.
Mhm.
And, you know, Daryl's great. He's a Hall of Famer. He was in the league, 19 years maybe. He's just an amazing person. And he talks about, for him, it's always been he said it's 5 100s. It's his faith, his family, his community, faith, his family, his health, community. I forget the fifth one. Maybe it was wife, but he's like, I've been married for 30, whatever the number is, years, and didn't cheat on my wife, right? He said, I don't drink, I don't smoke, and I've always had a relationship with the Lord, and it's really shaped who I am. But here's what's interesting. Dr. Montgomery's doing this work about reversing, chronic health issues. And so he's working with some athletes, and he said, when I started working with them, I thought, he may be a little bit out of shape, and we'll just get him back there. Daryl Green I think he's 63, looks great, like he can still play. He said, I felt great, I run, I do all this stuff. I go in, I see the doctor, he goes, everything's good. Oh, wait a minute. His blood pressure was 191/141.
Wow.
Right? And so the thing is, because he didn't look like that. So he started he went through this fitness boot camp and all about what you put into your body more than anything else. And so he talked a lot about that. And although he's an athlete, he said, I'm not really talking to professional athletes. I mean, they can listen and get it. I'm talking to the lady next door, my sister, my family, the people down the street, the young kids coming up, so that they can do some things differently to have just a better, healthier, more sustainable life. So it was really cool. And then we talked a little bit about football, because he said even when he played, I didn't watch a lot of football.
Yeah.
It's more about all the other stuff. So
Yep.
It was a really cool interview. And so if you get a chance, go back and check it out.
I will make sure to do that. One of my favorite interviews of all time, I had Daryl Green on my former show called Faith in Sports, and he loved it.
I'm sure he did.
He can talk about his family and some of the stuff he said about his wife, man, and how they together and stuff, man. It's just priceless. So I will definitely be checking it out. You all do the same. Go back and check out Chalk Talk from yesterday, Tuesdays at 11 a.m. Central. Kim, Texans got their first win of the season.
Yes, they did.
And they beat a Jacksonville team that was kind of on the uptick, had a little momentum going down in Jacksonville. What were your thoughts about the Texans' first win and the primaries, the Davis Mills, the Damian Prices, and so on?
So great. I was glad to see them get the win, right? They needed it. As Lovey said, it was kind of the first quarter. It was 5 games, but because they're 17, that's kind of the first quarter. Now they're in their bye week. So they needed that win for the team. And they needed it for Lovey and Pep because, the people have been coming hard for Lovey and really had been coming hard for Pep. Somehow they thought that Davis Mills really was kind of like Tom Brady, but Pep was messing him up. I don't really know where it came from because these are the same people. I'm not talking about the fans on Twitter. I'm talking about the people that cover the team that were at training camp with us, watching him with those inaccurate throws past 10, 12 yards. The fact that his ball sales. Anyway, I thought Davis Mills made some key plays when necessary. I thought he still looked like he ain't that good. I'm sorry. That's what I thought. I thought Dameon Pierce continues to look like running RB1. And here's the thing. People were like, why aren't they paying, giving him the ball more? And so look at who Dameon Pierce is. They knew they liked him when he came in the building. He's run hard throughout camp and all the stuff, after the draft and getting here. He's played well. But he didn't carry the rock a whole lot in Florida, right? He wasn't a 20 carry a game guy. That's not what he did. And he hadn't really worked a lot in terms of pass protection. So, give him a few. It's not like it's week 10 and they still not giving it to him. This past week, he got over the 20 carry mark. I think is significant. He looks like he can do it. And they've just been building. He's learning about pass blocking. He's doing all those things you want. But I love his energy, AJ, and his tenacity. He put that team on his back and took him in. And I'm going to give credit to somebody who is not my favorite in terms of a player. I don't know him personally, and that's Larry Tunsil. I feel like Larry Tunsil just don't really like to run block. But these last 2 games, if you go back and watch what he's done, he's kind of been a beast. Yeah. And maybe it's because he's excited about having a Dameon Pierce behind him. He's done a really good job. And there's no way that you're a running back who can be, he can be good, can do what he did if the line isn't giving him something. The tackles were great. Titus Howard on the right, and then Laramie on the left. And of course, my alma mater, my alum, if you will, Kenyon Green from A&M. He had a few plays that were like, but he's still coming along at that left guard spot. So
he's still young. He's
still young. He missed some of camp because he was injured he was out with a concussion. And I still say this secondary is the best group on the team, and they continue to do that. We've seen Jalen Petrie from the beginning. Like he's next level. And we see Stingley coming along. And by the way, not forget about Steve Nelson on the other side. And Jonathan Owens hasn't been off. I mean, Jonathan Owens may not be a superstar in this league, but I think he'll be steady. And so the key is going to be AJ for this defense. They're going to have to get better play at linebacker. They rotated some people in. And hopefully when Christian Harris is able to come back, maybe he gets to play after the bye. That position's elevated. But I thought the primaries were better. I know a lot of people don't like Lovey's defense. It's Tampa 2, but it's not just Tampa 2 like zone 2 deep the whole time. They make adjustments, but that's what they do. He's like, we keep him here, and there's a line.
Yep.
And so they held him to 6 points. And so, they're giving up a lot of yards. They want to cut that down, but they're not giving up touchdowns. They're holding them in the red zone. And I think, unlike some people in town, that's not a bad way to plan when you know what you're working with. If I see that their linebackers can't really stop nobody, they know it more than I do. So I'm okay with it.
Yeah. You bring up a good point. It's almost like people expect this team to be dominant on both sides of the ball. Like they just impose their will. Like, the Dallas Cowboy defense. They expect this team to be like that. A, you don't have the Dallas Cowboy talent. B, it's just not the same. Again, folks used to get on Tony Dungy because his defense is bent but don't break. The man's got a Super Bowl. The man's won more games than most. And again, folks think it should look a certain way, but they don't give it credit for what it is.
Yeah, they don't give it credit. They don't give the credit for what's due. And I didn't go see Nick Caserio yesterday. I just couldn't get it in with, doing my show and getting down to do, pregame for the Astros. I think Nick Caserio is where you have to look, right? Because that's where the talent comes. Now, this year, so far, the draft looks good, right? You got Dameon Pierce, who looks good. He was in the 4th round. You got Kenyon Green, and you got Jalen Petrie, and you got Derek Stingley, and some others. But so far, so good.
Yeah.
But he was also here last year. And, these free agents that y'all say can't play, where they come from? Who brought them in? So, it's got to be on Casario about talent and building that up. And granted, y'all's last boy, your favorite person, Billy Bob, he left him in a mess.
Yes.
Right? They were cap hell.
Right.
The roster was like a mess. Like
Right.
me, you, and Angel could have been on the roster. And so they didn't have any pick. It was just ridiculous what he did to this team. And the fact that he's even still employed and gets to walk around in the football world is amazing to me. But I digress.
Leading
team
candidate
is
for a number of open jobs in the
exactly.
Yeah. Kim, real quick, you mentioned Nick Casario. Nick Casario clearly is an avid fan of the lunch break because he said something that I tweeted out. I said that Dameon Pierce is the energy that this team needs, and Nick Casario said that Dameon Pierce's energy. They need more players in the locker room, in the building, with Dameon Pierce's energy.
Well, I'm just going to say that was great on your point, but it really don't take a rocket scientist to know that, right? Nick Casario. If you missed that one, right? If you missed that one, and I know he's super analytical and, he likes to talk about, if it's not the Dell computers and how that works, or the fact that, the Astros used to have a losing record. And then dude, what's going on with your team? What you gonna do? What's happening? What's happening in terms of the talent level? So I just hope that he continues to, they're always tweaking the roster. You're always looking to see what's out there. Just let Lovey and Pep do what they do. Give them what they need. I don't know how much he meddles in what happens game day. I don't think any of us know that. I do know he's in the booth. I know Jack's in the booth, probably just so that Jack isn't on the field. But I don't know what his interaction is. And here's something, AJ. People, local media gets annoyed because they feel like, oh man, Lovey, he goes to the mat for Davis Mills. That's his quarterback. What's he supposed to say? Yeah, he's not that good, but I'm gonna play him. Then y'all will be saying, what kind of confidence is he giving him? He says, no, the buck stops with me. So he supports what Pep is doing. He's the head coach, and that's what it has to look like. Yeah. Because even if that's not absolutely how it happens, he's responsible. And anything other than that, that's gonna be a problem. So y'all just give it a minute, y'all. It's week 5. This team is not great. And I hope that they win some other games and that Lovey gets some other wins. And that, Pep does too, but Pep is working with not a great quarterback. Let me say this. Nico Collins looked great, right? This dude, Davis Mills, needs a Nico Collins to throw to because Nico's a big target, but every day after camp, Nico was working on that 50-50 ball. Mm-hmm. He worked on it, which is great because your quarterback his ball sails. He's not real accurate in his ball sales. So you got to have somebody that's a bigger target and can go up and get it. And that's what Nico gives you. I don't know what's happening with Brandon Cooks. I don't know if Father Time is catching him. Not really sure. But you got to almost make spectacular catches. Right. When you're working with Davis Mills. It just is what it is.
Fair point. Hey, got a question from Big Time Floyd. And I want to bring it in because it's going to shift us to where I want to go next. Hello, AJ and Kim and the Breakers. Will Dak play against the Eagles? Dr. Jerry Jones does have the last word. No second opinions are needed. Go Cowboys. First of all, let's give some credit to Cooper Rush. First quarterback Cowboys history to win his first 5 starts with the organization. But you and I have seen enough football to know that's what you want from your backup quarterback. You don't want your backup quarterbacks going to go out there and go 2-3 or 1-4. So if he's healthy, does Dak play and should Dak play?
So if he's healthy, Dak should play because he's the quarterback. I don't know that he plays this week because they're just hoping. I saw something from one of the guys who's a beat writer for the Cowboys, and Mike McCarthy said he's hoping that Dak can throw today. So if you're hoping he can throw on Wednesday, I doubt you play him on Sunday, right? Because that Philadelphia defense is going to be physical. So I'm hoping you can throw. Then you're at least another week away to me. So I don't think he plays Sunday. But when he's ready to play, you play him.
Yep. Fair point.
That's what I think. Mm-hmm.
Fair point. The other thing, we got to give some love to Jalen Hurts. Got to give some love to Jalen Hurts. I mean,
absolutely.
you know, we saw it at Channelview High School, we saw it at Alabama, we saw it at Oklahoma, and folks just refused to believe it for the Philadelphia Eagles. So what are your thoughts about him? What are your thoughts about what he's doing there?
So what I think is that he did show those things early, and the things where there were like questions about, he's clearly worked really hard on those things. He's gotten better every season, and he's gotten better in those areas in terms of sliding in the pocket and having better command and being more in control. And so he's an NFL quarterback, and he's dangerous, and he just keeps getting better.
Yeah.
So I've even heard guys who said, I wasn't sure about him, you know, some of the football shows that are like, hey, I was wrong. This kid can play. And that's what I see. And that's what it is. You get a shot and you go out and do the work. And that's what he did. And I'm going to give you an example. Earlier today, the Texans, you know, it's their bye week. And so we had an opportunity to talk to their, I'm going to tell you who it is because I'm going to forget. The James Lipford. He is the director of college scouting, I guess, for the Texans. And so we got a chance to do kind of visit with him about, you know, players and questions. And so somebody asked him about working with, you know, he of course came from the Patriots. He said, I'm living my dream, right? You know, doing what I do. And he said, I remember being 23 years old and getting my first job in the scouting department. And I had no experience. I didn't even know what scouting, I didn't know how to do it. So he had an opportunity. I mean, he was with people that could teach him, and now here he is in another role. And so that was, I'm like, see, that don't happen a whole lot for us, right? How many of us at 23 with no experience get an opportunity to be mentored and taught and to help build a career? On the flip side, I did ask him when we were talking about scouting. I said, so tell me, what's your approach to scouting HBCUs? And I'll just use SWAC because we had a first round pick a few years ago in Titus Howard. What's your approach? Because when you talk about scouting, the Big 12 or the SEC, you know, those, we talk about the level of talent, we see the exposure. And he said, yeah, that's a great question. And, you know that the players in some schools are not playing against the same level of competition. So there are other things that you look at in terms of, they're probably going to dominate, right, at their positions, but what's the upside? And so that's what they look at with a guy like Titus. So it was interesting. I'll put that clip out later, but I was curious about that. What is the approach? And so, the Texans, that's what happened with Jalen Hurts. He got an opportunity. He worked on the things he needed to work on. And he's showing you now that he can lead a team. And, oh, by the way, the Eagles are 5-0 and they play the Dallas Cowboys this weekend. And for you Cowboys fans, I think the Eagles going to win. I'm just saying.
I'm just saying. Let me do this real quick, Kim. I want to throw up the lunch breaks quarterback power rankings for this week. And you tell me if I'm way off. I got Geno Smith at number 1 because let me tell you what I go by. I go by passer rating. And that passer rating of 113.2 was on point. And, oh, yeah, by the way, he's completing 75% of his passes. Then, of course, you got to give it to the man. I mean, this guy has just done it since he got the start in the league. Not since he's been in the league because he didn't start that year. But Patrick Mahomes, again, 110.5, 67% completion rate. Got to give love to Josh Allen. Remember, again, they told you could not teach accuracy. Oh, well, he's only completing 67% of his passes and got his team rolling. And then I got to give some love to the kid over there at New England, Bailey Zappi, 104.8, completed 75% of his passes. Here's where I want to get to next. See that man down there at number 7?
Yeah.
64% of his passes, 97.9, but you don't capture in passer rating and completion percentage everything that he brings to the table. And, oh, yeah, by the way, him completely gave his team a chance to win against the Cincinnati Bengals. Let me go ahead and get to this next. There he is down there at number 11. I'm sorry. I got him on there twice. That's my fault. I did that. Jalen Hurts, 96.6, 67% of his passes. And again, the man has just proven the doubters wrong. Let me finish out this top 15. Ryan Tannehill, Cooper Rush, and Jared Goff. All right, what are your thoughts? How far off am I?
Not bad at all. Not bad at all. you're right when you talk about. Listen, I'm excited for Geno Smith that he's had an opportunity to show that he's got a little something in the tank, that he can do something. Pat Mahomes is a no-brainer, and obviously Josh Allen. I was talking to somebody the other day, a football guy who does a lot of analytics and analysis work and scouting, and he said, the league is down, right? The league is it's not a great brand of football that we're seeing across the board. Nobody really wants to talk about that. After you get beyond Kansas City and Buffalo and maybe Philadelphia, it's a drop.
Yeah,
right?
it is. It is.
And people want to call it parity, but it's just not super talent. There's not super talent around the league. I think the preseason, when you don't play your starters, I think it means that the league starts late, right? So you're into about week 4 or 5 before you start seeing something, something different happen. So I think those are some things that are happening. I don't think you're far off. I think it's interesting though to see Geno Smith at the top of that list when you look at quarterback ranking. And oh, by the way, did you have Rodgers on the list? I don't think you had.
Yeah, he was down there around 13, 14. I call him. Yeah, he was down there around 13, 14.
Okay, so yeah, not bad.
Yeah. So here's what's interesting. Most other networks won't give Geno Smith credit for what he's done. When I look at the power rankings from the powers that be, it's the usual suspects. It's Tom Brady, it's Aaron Rodgers, it's Patrick Mahomes, and then they go from there. But the normal metrics that we used, all of a sudden, are not good enough. All of a sudden, don't tell the real story of what a Geno Smith is doing versus a Tom Brady or an Aaron Rodgers or somebody like that. So that's why I do my own. And yeah, I got a couple of little mistakes in there. I'm new to it, but I'm about to be true to it. So here we go. One more thing for you.
Okay.
Let's talk SWAC real quick. Let me pull the SWAC power rankings up real quick, and then let's talk about this. And then we got to talk about the drama at Alabama State. Number 1 by far is Jackson State. Number 2, these are in-conference records. You got Alcorn at number 2, 2-0. FAMU 2-1. Southern at 2-1. I got them above Prairie View because of what they just did to Prairie View, because they beat the teacher knew the student far better than the student knew the teacher, and I love Bubba, so I think he would agree with that. Alabama A&M 2-1 at number 6. At 7, you got Texas Southern, got a surprise win again, albeit Arkansas Pine Bluff, but they're 2-2. And then Bethune, Alabama State, who I give a lot of credit for the way that they played Jackson State. I just can't, raise them higher than teams that have lost fewer games. And then of course you got Pine Bluff, Grambling, and Valley. Any comments there? Any questions there? Am I way far off?
I think you've done it. I mean, I get why you got Southern above PBU, and I know you're a Southern fan, but I know you're objective too, though. But I get it.
My money's at Southern right now, so I gotta give them some love. But again, they came into Prairie View's home and ran roughshod over them, so there's no way I can put them below Prairie View. Alabama State scheduled Jackson State for their homecoming, not last week, not week before last, not even last season. That had been on the schedule for a while.
Right.
And, a Coach Prime, it hit him. Did they schedule us? It must be a money game. It must be a money. This must be like Alabama coming to Alabama State so they can make their money. And then came the ritual of Coach Prime getting to the stadium and then doing a lap. He used to run it, but of course, due to surgery, he now walks the stadium. Walking on the other opponent's side while players are out on the field. He didn't walk through their drills or anything like that, but again, walked on their side while other players were out on the field. Didn't walk over to the coach at the 50-yard line, and he recorded that. And folks took exception to the language that the players were using. And then obviously after the game, handshake, but no bro hug, got a pushback, and then all hell broke loose. What are your thoughts? What are your comments? What do you think about what you saw and what we know now?
So I'm glad you made the point about when this game was scheduled. I'm guessing that this game was scheduled before even Eddie Robinson was hired as head coach.
I can believe that.
Right? If I'm thinking about when Eddie was hired, I think that happened. So listen, let me first say, like Eddie Robinson said after the game, Deion has been good for Jackson State. His team is playing well. He's been good for the league, right? I'll give him that credit, but he's still Deion. You know, they call him prime time for a reason. It's about him. It's about, hey, look at me. And so I thought he said, oh, I got to the stadium late. That's what we're going with. Why he didn't go all around, why he didn't acknowledge Coach Robinson. So then after the game, just do the handshake and keep it moving. But I get it. The bro hug. Eddie's like, nah, man, we're not cool like that.
Yeah.
And you've been disrespectful to my team and our school, and I don't appreciate that. Now, I've covered Eddie Robinson since he played for the Oilers. Okay. I've never seen him get sideways with someone. Now, I could have missed it, you know, but he's a laid back, calm kind of guy. I mean, he was a feisty, fiery linebacker, so I know he's got it in him. Yeah. But that's just not who he is. And I had a friend tell me, I think that was petty because they lost. He ain't that guy either. So I think it wasn't a good look for him. I'm sure he wishes it hadn't looked like that. He told you after the game why his response is what it was. He goes, I'm fine with shaking a hand. I believe that's what should happen. And when he said he not SWAC, I am, he talked about it in terms of the kind of coaches that have come through SWAC and how they've carried themselves. That's what he meant. It doesn't mean that if you didn't play in SWAC, you can't be a part of the SWAC. So I think it was unfortunate, and it got blown up a lot, and it's Deion, and that's always going to happen.
I had two-time Super Bowl champ Byron Chamberlain on the show yesterday. I want to, again, appreciate Byron making the time to come on. And I asked him, in Little League, middle school, high school, college, and pro, did you ever have an opposing coach walk on your side of the field while y'all were out there doing your thing? And he said, yeah, Al Davis did it. He said Al Davis used to do it all the time. He said, and we made it our business to have a couple of balls land near where Al Davis was standing. My point is, Doc, just because that's your ritual doesn't mean that everybody's got to allow it. And, oh, yeah, there's a key fact. Normally you do that ritual when there's nobody else on the field, especially players. Right. But do we have to accommodate everybody's ritual? And let me be specific. Do we have to accommodate Coach Prime's rituals?
No. No, that's all I got. No.
I mean, I'm not questioning whether he's SWAC or not. He's SWAC. I'm not questioning whether or not he's been
but it still doesn't mean you got to do because he's Deion.
Right. So, I know that the powers that be that love thee, I love, you're not going to change their opinions, but I think there's a bigger thing at play here where folks are looking at this and saying, see, they can't even get along with themselves. So why should we be putting them on our networks or our channels and our stations? And that's what I don't want to have this effect in the long run.
Right. Yeah, I hope it doesn't either, but I also think that would be an overreach in terms of a response and an excuse, because listen, there are coaches in PWIs that don't get along and have little flare-ups, and it's not like
Jimbo Fisher and Nick Saban. But watch this. The SEC said, cut it out. Both of y'all, cut it out.
Both of y'all, cut it out. Yeah. Right. And remember, Deion had his own dust up with Nick, right? And so when Nick said something about Deion and scouting, and recruiting, and made that kind of comment, almost like y'all paying players. That's not what he said, but that was the inference. And Deion was like, oh, and he kind of clapped back. And then he said, yeah, Nick called me, but I ain't answer because he didn't, the comment he made went on the phone call, so make what you got to say public. So that's who Deion is. It's not just Eddie. That's who Deion is. He was that way with Saban. He was that way with Eddie. And then he said, hey, yeah, me and Saban, we cool, but I'm not okay with that. He know he was wrong. So that's how Deion operates. But yeah, the SWAC should have just said, like the SEC, y'all cut it out.
Yeah. And I was going to ask about that. Should McClellan, depending upon how much further this goes, because today Deion's out dancing with the, who's swag, I'm swag on the hoodie. He gonna make his change. He gonna make his change. And I'm not saying he needs hoodies to make his money, but I'm saying, he knows how to promote and to market. Should Charles McClellan, privately, phone calls
Absolutely.
or whatever, get them to move on from this, because there's still a lot more that they got to do.
Yeah, I think he should. As a commissioner, he should squash it. He should say, "Hey, y'all, squash it. We don't have to make some big public statement about it, but let's be done with that." And I think that's what he needs to do.
Yeah.
Deion's still gonna be prime, and he got enough stuff that he can do, but let that go, man. And let's move on so that this does not become the ongoing conversation.
Yeah.
And here's what we know. We know that the networks would love to just kind of keep harping on this, and don't give it to him. Don't give it to him.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Don't give it to him.
We got better stories to tell than this. Kim, unfortunately,
and if you don't want to tell him, that's fine, but no.
Yeah. We've come to that time where we got to get ready to wrap it up. I know you got big things to do. Again, give us final remarks about whatever you want to give us remarks about. Astros, Texans, Chalk Talk, whatever you got. It's on you.
So, as always, I love being on a lunch break, and it's always great to chop up sports or whatever with you. I think that the Texans will continue to improve. They're not going to be a great team this year. They don't have great talent, but I think Lovey and Pep deserve time to do some things with this team. I like what they're doing. Too bad they don't have a quarterback. That's all I got. I'm interested to see what they get from Christian Harris when he's able to play, because Miles Smith has said the linebackers are the key to this defense, right? When we're not stopping the run, or that is the key to the defense, the linebacker play, and it hasn't been great. So I'm curious about that. Astros have game 2 tomorrow. They are sending Framber Valdez to the mound. I think they can win it. It's going to be tough because I think it's Collins is pitching. The pitcher that's coming out for the Mariners is strong. But I think the way the Astros won yesterday, they could sweep the Mariners. I'm just saying. They're not saying that, so it's not like, bullet board. But I think to win in that fashion, if they had lost yesterday, I still was of the camp of the Astros will win this series. And so I hope they go ahead and win it in 3, come on back, or if you have to win it, in 4, whatever. But go ahead and get that out of the way and get ready for the ALCS. And I say that it's almost basketball season, right? A week from tomorrow, a week from today, will be the first regular season game. The Houston Rockets will be in Atlanta to take on the Hawks. This young team, still very young. They got 19 and 20-year-olds. They're going to be exciting to watch, and hopefully they will continue to get better. I'm excited to see what they're going to be. They're not going to be rushing for a title yet, but hopefully they're not, in the bottom of the league. I don't think they will be. They're going to be a lot better. So I think those are some things that are coming up. Chalk Talk is every Tuesday, but you can follow me on Twitter at Kim Y. Davis. That's where I do updates, Kim Y. Davis or Kim Y. Davis Media on Instagram between now and my show about what's happening and where I'm posting. And that's where you can find me. And hey, I hope to see you guys soon.
Kim, I got to do it. My producer just sent a message. Kev, the producer, he's a sophomore over at the Texas Southern University. He said, You got to get Kim's comments on Tommy Tuberville.
Y'all start sending your kids. That's Tommy Tuberville is showing you who he is, and he has made his money and made his place on the backs of young black men. And for him to have the position and rubbing elbows and hugged up with the KKK and all the other stuff he got going on is a problem. But he didn't just become that; he's always been that. And so I just say, take a closer look. I'm not saying everybody got to send their kids to HBCUs. I'm not saying that. Not a bad thing. I think you got to remember it's a great option, but just be mindful of who you're sending your kids to play for and what universities. That's my comment. Tommy Tuberville. I mean, he's a senator because he won as a football coach, and he won as a football coach because he had great young African American talent. Miss me, Tommy Tuberville.
Yeah. Kim, well said. We got to do it again. Let me know when we can. As always, I appreciate you, my friend.
All right. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Lunch Breakers. I'll see y'all next time.
All right, Kim. Kim White Davis, y'all. She is the best of the best. She's the first Black woman to do it here in the city of Houston. And I'm just glad to call her my friend. And I 100% endorse what she said about the Tommy Tuberville statement. Listen, man, these folks will sit in your living room and tell you whatever you want to hear to get you to come and play for them so that they can get wins and multi-million-dollar contracts. But baby, we see clearly how this man has felt the whole time. He didn't just become this. So dig a little deeper. Think twice before you just send your child. They're not giving your child a scholarship. Your child earned a scholarship. So is that who you want leading your child? I'm just asking. All right, y'all, got to get ready to go. Check me out tomorrow. Chris Gardner, Houston Roundball Review, Throwback Thursday. But until then, as always, let's not be divided. Let's be united. I truly do love you. There's nothing you can do about it except join us here tomorrow for Throwback Thursday. Y'all have a great rest of your day. Talk to you soon.
Sybil Wilkes with what you need to know. Today is Wednesday, October 12th, 2022. Number 1. Late Tuesday, Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky announced he will no longer negotiate with Russia or its leader Vladimir Putin. For the past 2 days, Russia has attacked every major Ukrainian city, killing at least 19 people. The rapid escalation of war in Ukraine occurred just before the emergency meeting held among leaders of the group of 7 countries. President Biden spoke with Ukrainian President Zelensky Monday and expressed his condemnation of Russia's missile strikes across Ukraine. Number 2. Los Angeles City Council President Nuri Martinez resigned from her position Monday after she and 2 other council members were recorded making racist remarks. The comments exposed long-standing racial tensions in the governance of one of the nation's most multicultural cities, as well as fault lines among the city's Democrats. Calls continued Monday for Martinez to resign from the council entirely. Number 3. Japan reopened its doors to tourists Tuesday after 2.5 years of tough COVID-19 restrictions, with officials hoping an influx of travelers enticed by a weak yen will boost the economy. In June, it began allowing tourists to visit in groups accompanied by guides, a requirement that was further relaxed to include self-guided package tours. From Tuesday, visa-free entry resumed for travelers from 68 countries and territories. Number 4. Vanderbilt University Medical Center is temporarily halting gender-affirming surgeries on patients under the age of 18 while it reviews new national recommendations. Until now, the hospital's transgender health clinic had performed an annual average of 5 surgeries on minors who were at least 16 years old, according to a letter from Deputy CEO and Chief Health System Officer Dr. C. Wright Penson. Penson's letter served as a response to demands last week from members of the House Republican caucus that medical center immediately halt permanent gender affirmation surgeries on minors. Number 5, the family of Jonathan Bandabaya is asking for the public's help to find him. Bandabaya was last seen leaving his Oakland, California home that he shares with his parents in the Fruitvale district May of 2019. His 1998 Honda Accord was found abandoned the next day. The 22-year-old was last seen wearing a gray athletic sweatsuit. Anyone with information on Jonathan's disappearance, please go to the Black and Missing Foundation website. Here's your daily inspiration from Yogi's Jewels. Be a part of humanity and stand up for what is right. Inhale justice. Exhale oppression. Join me today live on YouTube and Facebook at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central with the man of the world, Stephen Hill, comedian of the world, Myra J., and our LGBTQ activist, Quinn Townsend Riley, as we discuss today's top headlines and more. Thank you to our What You Need to Know partners, Black Voters Matter and HBCU Go TV. To subscribe to my free daily newsletter, please visit SybilWilkes.com. Be informed, be empowered.
BS3 Network, changing the way you watch TV.